Hey everyone, this is a video for Soulrender Dormazain on Mythic for the guild Nexus Sx, our guild, and let's get into it. This is going to be a bit more detailed than the meeting we had, so important to go over this video along with all the other videos. I'm using mythictrap.com, Warcraft logs, YouTube, in-game dungeon journal. There's a lot of resources you can do to research these fights, but hopefully this gives you kind of a comprehensive look at how we're going to be handling the fight, kind of how we're going to be handling on Mythic. This site made by Echo doesn't include Mythic yet. I'm sure it will. But yeah, let's get into this. This is a pretty straightforward fight, in my opinion. Much more straightforward than like the 9 or Remnants of Ner'zhul. But it's not trivial either. I wouldn't say it's trivial. I would say it's probably just easier based on what we know of the fight. It could end up being way harder because of tuning or whatever. But yeah. So let's go into the mechanics and I'll go over kind of how the fight is done generally. I think it might just be worthwhile, instead of going over this, to actually just play the video and go over things as they happen in the fight. I don't think it matters when you lust in this fight. I think lusting at the start is probably what everybody's going to do. It's all just one phase anyways. So there are... The way this fight kind of works is there are 4 lanes, and the boss will choose when he casts Torment one lane that is safe and the other 3 are not safe. So we'll just put markers down in each one of these. And as we're dodging, we also don't want to get hit by these swirls right here. These swirls just do damage. There's nothing too crazy about them. Let me just make sure, though, that I'm not misspeaking here in what's... yeah, I think... Yeah, it just does damage getting hit by that. I am pretty sure. Here, let me double check. Yeah, Torment. There we go. Just dodge. Anyways, it took a long time to explain not to stand in swirlies, which we all probably know from there. So you stand in the safe spot, and then the boss will spawn these ads. These casts go on for a long time. In Heroic and Normal, the casts are very easily interrupted. You don't need a kick rotation or anything crazy like that. But in Mythic, the difference here is that there's an ad that spawns that is this Overlord, and it's casting Infused Defiance, which makes it so that you can't interrupt or CC any of these ads that are up right there. If any of them reach Garrosh, which is the person getting tortured right here, the orc getting tortured right here, if any of them reach it, then I believe it does ticking damage and it can wipe us, which isn't great. They also can't be CC'd anymore when they get there. So we want to nuke down the Defiler, and then we also want to nuke down these. We then want to nuke down these ads. You can then interrupt it once that Overlord is dead. You can interrupt these ads. We want to use mass grip. We want to use single grips to bring them in close, and then mass grip to bring them in even closer. We can't obviously grip until that Overlord is dead. And let me just rewind a little bit. So you'll see these debuffs. These are the brand of... Where are they? The brand of Torment. And what this is doing is any player that's in these is going to be taking a stacking dot that does damage every 2 seconds. So you don't want to be in that as a player. But the tricky part about this is you do need to be right on top of the ads, because any of the Moss-Worn Overlord or Moss-Worn Agonizers will take 50% increased damage, and that does stack. So if you have 2 debuffs Venn diagramming the ads, they will then take 100% increased damage, and that is how you're able to nuke down the ads quickly. So you see here that they're in melee intentionally, overlapping, so that they can get maximum damage onto these moss-worn ads. And it does switch periodically, so those people need to move out, other people need to move in, things like that. Periodically through the fight, I think it's when the boss gets to 100% energy. I could be completely full of shit saying that. Yeah, I am. Anyways, there are chains that you need to break on Garrosh because he's doing kind of an AoE yell. And if you don't break it in a certain amount of time, I think you just wipe. At least that's what happened on Heroic. So you need one person to grab each chain and then run it out. And when you break the chain, it does raid-wide damage. So you can't break them all at the same time. In addition to that, whenever you pull the chain out, it will give you a debuff, making it so that you can't grab another chain for the rest of the fight. I believe on normal, it doesn't matter. You can grab it as many times as you want. On Heroic, I think it's a 3-minute debuff. And on Mythic, it's just straight up, you can't pull chains anymore for the rest of the fight. Which is fine. Similar to Sun King or any fight where we've kind of done rotations like that. We'll just have a set order of people that are breaking chains and send people off and handle it that way. You can see here that it's very important that you kind of manage this debuff correctly so that it's on top of the moss-worn ads. Once the Overlord is dead, these aren't too threatening. You can stun them. You can use Ring of Peace, Typhoon, obviously Fears, stuns, whatever to stop them, which makes this fight on Heroic pretty easy. But this fight becomes a lot harder on Mythic because of that Overlord, and we don't know what that tuning is going to look like. So we need to be really prepared for burning down that. So know to save your cooldowns. The ads are top priority over the boss. You may be tempted to pop all your CDs on the boss, but DPS CDs should be used on the ads, not the boss. Ads are highest priority in this fight. They cannot reach Garrosh. And there is no real DPS check in the fight. It's just constantly over and over you're doing the same stuff. The other thing is that he's going to do the Encore of Torments. It's going to just keep filling up the room, doing similar stuff to what you were dealing with before, but you're just doing this in rapid succession. So you're seeing you're kind of, okay, we're going to the new lane, and then it's like, oh no, the next lane is going to be, Triangle. So you can Warlock, Gateway, Windrush, Roar, whatever. Make sure to have good movement speed in this fight. This doesn't solely require a lot of range. This fight is melee friendly, but it's just important that melee don't stack in the brand of Torment and all that. Really, it's just kind of bringing in whoever can handle priority damage on ads. And honestly, even if your class can handle priority damage, but you suck as a player or something and can't manage your cooldowns, then we will bring in players who can manage that. So that's not calling anyone in specific out. Obviously, this video is for everybody, but it's very important to kind of know that if your class is really great at nuking ads, but you're not nuking ads because you're not playing your class correctly, we will find somebody who is better at killing the ads, regardless of class and flavor of the month or whatever the fuck. So know what you're doing in this fight and make sure to be looking at logs as they're coming in opening week. It's very important. Very, very important. Other than that, there is a mechanic that was added. So you can see here, the raid really isn't taking much damage, but there was a mechanic that was added later on, and that's echoing screams. And just the entire fight, you're going to be taking this ticking damage. The whole raid's going to be taking this ticking damage. Every 5 seconds, the raid's taking, 6k damage. So breaking a chain on top of the echo screams, on top of having Branded Torment debuff, will probably end up killing you. So knowing that I have the debuff of I have the Tormented debuff, popping a personal is super important there. That's really, really important. Making sure you're ready to break chains. And when I call break chains, you're not having to run out for another 10 seconds because it does slow you down. Being kind of to the point where it's about to break and then just popping it when it's called for is super important. You can move out a little bit. There's a little bit of slack on it. You don't want to move out all the way and accidentally break it early. So getting kind of watching some POVs and getting a good feel of that is going to be important. But other than that, there's not a ton more in the fight. I think getting, obviously the interrupts and getting the stuns once the Overlord is dead and gripping them in after the Overlord dies, and you can maybe even grip them in sooner. But, we're going to have Dak running on his Blood DK for this. Blood DK is obviously BIS for this fight. And then having regular DKs is really good too. So, I think that about covers it. If I missed anything, just say it in, the Discord channel or something. But I think I covered everything. And there's not really much to look at here. They just kind of kill the fight. Like, they're saving all their cooldowns for when ads come out. And that's what we're going to want everybody to do, right? I mean, obviously, if the boss is almost dead, we just burn the boss. But, you don't want to, pop cooldowns on the boss. There's not really a reason to. There's nothing new that happens in any of this. And I think this is about a... What is that? A 6-minute fight? 7-minute fight? So another 7 to 8 minute fight. You can see here they're ignoring the ads and just burning boss here, which is obvious. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.